Today is a very good day. Why is that? Because today we review the
Monstrous.
soundtrack album from the kaiju film Godzilla Minus One. Godzilla Minus One, the original motion picture soundtrack by composer Naoki Sato, that was released in 2023. What's going on, guys? My name's Isaac. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Also, leave a like, leave a comment. Also, don't forget to share this video with someone who you think may benefit from this video or may simply enjoy this content. Now back to the review. So right off the bat, guys, as soon as I saw the film, I was immediately enticed with the music and the imagery. The music just suited the imagery so well, and vice versa. Now, I did see the film twice actually. I felt the same way both times. I knew that the first time I saw the film, I was like, oh my goodness, this music is incredible. The second time I saw the film, I actually saw it in black and white. So the music, it just seemed like it had even more effect in black and white, and I just thought it was incredible. But nonetheless, everything that I'm going to say today about the soundtrack, this awesome orchestral soundtrack, it it has the same reflection both ways, whether you saw the film in color, whether you saw it in black and white, or if you want to just go ahead and check out the soundtrack, because the soundtrack itself is a work of art. The music for the film, guys, just matches the scenery so well, and honestly, I'm in just such disbelief as to how carefully crafted the music was, which I'll be getting into more detail in just a moment. This is something that really cannot go past unappreciated or unrecognized due to the fact that it's the music that drives us emotionally throughout a film, and it can also help kind of foreshadow future scenes or future events that are going to happen in the movie. When talking about the soundtrack, this orchestral soundtrack on its own, not really talking about the film because I don't really want to talk about the film. I want to talk really just about the soundtrack. It is, like I already said though, guys, it is a carefully crafted soundtrack. To me, there's just impeccable balance with all the instruments and just the instrumentation and the overall dynamic range, which I think is something that really impresses me and got to me the most when listening to this soundtrack on its own. The way I hear it, it's the strings that play an overall primary role in this orchestral score, followed by percussion and maybe voices third. If it's not voices third, then it's like really kind of just tied in with percussion, or the voices will come in third. What really impresses me the most is the overall dynamic control throughout the entire orchestral score. Whether the track starts off at like a pianissimo and builds up midway, like a lot of the tracks do, but one of them, for example, is like the elegy. It is a carefully crafted. It is a I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, but it's just such a carefully taken care of dynamic. Same thing with whether the track starts off strong and it remains this strong energy. It stays that way very carefully, like very intentfully. I don't know if that's intentfully is like a word, but there's a lot of intent when playing these dynamics, and everyone's playing together. Now, I don't know how they recorded this. I don't know like what, maybe if there's anything that's like programmed or how much of it's a live performance. I would think it's a live performance. It's done so well. Anyways, yeah, it's just that overall dynamic control that really impresses me. Tracks that have that strong entrance that, like I had mentioned right now, are like the Godzilla suites. Those, of course, start strong. There's 3 Godzilla suites: Godzilla Suite 1, Godzilla Suite 2, Godzilla Suite 3. And they're essentially the same thing, right? The range and the control in each of them is really pleasant to listen to, and they did a really great job recording the suites. To me, it's really this dynamic control that helps instill this like idea of fear or hope. Like the tracks that instill fear are like a lot of the tracks here, but ones that I can think of primarily are like, well, for example, like Fear, right? That one instills fear for sure. The Godzilla suites, like, oh my goodness, these are scary. And then there's the ones that instill like a sense of hope or like joy, like the tracks like Hope, Honor, and Pride. My personal favorites from the orchestral score are tracks like Divine and Resolution. I love Divine simply because of the voices and the high strings. I love it. They blend together so well. They're so dramatic. This is a track where the monster, Godzilla, just simply cannot be defeated. And oh my goodness, it's so dramatic. Even without seeing the film, just listening to it, it is so like intense and it makes you just want to sit back in your seat. In this case, I think it's the low brass that really helps drive that emotion as well. In Resolution, I just love the repetitive nature of the strings. It just keeps going all the time. And then eventually it's a slow, it's again guys, a slow crescendo, and it's just so nice to listen to. It's a careful crescendo, very dramatic. I think that's what helps emphasize the drama in the score. But like when the horns come in, the harmonies, guys, it's the overall harmonies also with this track, and just like I keep saying, the overall score that really does it for me. Overall, guys, it's the layering, it's the instrumentation that I really love about this orchestral score. They did such a great job just blending in the voices, the brass, the strings. It's very pleasant to listen to. It's something that, like I had said at the beginning, I personally feel like should not go unnoticed, because it's hard. It's hard to get that like real slow crescendo or decrescendo without eventually getting like boring, or keeping it long enough, really dragging it out long enough to stay engaging. That I personally feel like is tough to do, and I just really loved how they nailed it. I loved how they did it, and I think they nailed it. It's really the high strings, guys. The high strings, meaning like violin 1, violin 2. They sing so well. They're their own voice 100%. And when they blend in with the actual voices, that is just like, that is gold to me. Also, if you are someone who generally does not listen to like movie or film score soundtracks, the albums, I definitely feel like this may be a good introduction to that, as there's a lot of imagery within this orchestral score, whether or not you've seen the film. Of course, I know I've seen the film twice. I can kind of picture and remember things that happened during certain tracks, but still, like on its own, there's still, some parts that I don't remember, but I still feel like I can imagine my own thoughts during this, right? And I feel like that would be great for someone who it generally does not listen to soundtracks as a standalone work of art. I 100% do give Naoki Sato a 10 out of 10 on this awesome, monumental, just work of art for the kaiju film Godzilla -1. It's just awesome. I love listening to it. I still listen to a lot of the tracks that I mentioned here. I still listen to the soundtrack as a whole. It's a story. It's an awesome story at just under an hour, I believe, 56 minutes, 57 minutes, but I think it's 56. It's just awesome to listen to. And I would really encourage you, if you have not heard this, to go ahead and go check it out. As always, guys, thank you so much for checking out the video, and I hope to see you all later.